Hello everyone, this is Dr. Sirisha, working as Associate Professor in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering College. Today I am going to talk about our career and employability skill division, where we are going to train our students based upon company specific requirements as well as general upgradation of their soft skills and their coding expertise in different wings like aptitude, database management systems, the basics of operating systems, computer networks, and all sorts of English communication skills. We all enhance the, the placement required training to our students. So as a part and parcel of that, today I am going to discuss few coding questions which are most frequently seen or thrown by companies for coding tests. So I'd like to name it as company specific programming sessions. Do follow the channel and I'm going to upload much more videos in the same domain. Let's start with a simple question which narrates a story. In general, the questions which will be posed for the time of placement or the coding round will revolve around a story. And you have to identify, the student must identify the logic inside it and must be able to present a Python code for the same or any programming language in which you are comfortable. Today I am going to explain or narrate 3 examples in Python code, which you might have seen earlier in many coding rounds, right? So let's start with the basic question, job preference. So guys, just read the story, what it is saying. It is talking about a candidate, Rahul, and he has applied for 3 companies, say A, B, and C, and he has a preference of himself. So he has applied for 3 companies. Even if he gets offer from all the 3 companies, he would like to take the offer from the company which he most likes, right? So in this question, they're talking about 3 companies which he have applied for and the order in which he has his preference. By God's grace, he got offer from 2 companies. And what are those companies that we are going to enter at the runtime? So say in the question, they have given it as X and Y. From companies X and Y, he is going to get the offers. Then what company he is going to prefer, right? The acceptance, for which company he is going to give the acceptance, is the primary question over here. So guys, first of all, identify what he is saying and what the story is all about. What is the logic which you need behind? For that, every question they are going to give you input, output format, and as well as examples which explain what the question is and what are its basic requirements, as well as the constraints which set the boundaries for the input as well as the outputs. In this present scenario, they have taken the first input format will be the number of test cases you are going to consider, say T. Then, but in the order of preference, what are the 3 companies that Rahul wants, right? Then, in third line, you are going to enter the companies from which he got the offer letter, right? So, and what you are expecting as output. The output that you are going to expect is in a single line, the name of the company which he would accept, right? So which he would accept. That is a single tick, and the output can be in any case, upper or lower case. It is not biased, it is not case sensitive also, right? And the constraint they have given is the first, second, and third are 3 different characters. That means you have to give 3 different company names. You cannot repeat the names, and the offers which he is going to get, that is X and Y, these 2 also must be different. They shouldn't be the same, right? And it is understood that X and Y money, he got the first offer from X and the second offer from Y. right? So these two offers are in his hands. Which one he's going to take based upon his preference set, right? Let's take an example and I'll explain. Say, take the example. He has taken two set cases. Okay, so in these cases, the first one is like this. So his order of preference is for the company A, he's giving the highest preference, right? And then it goes with B, and then C is going to get the least preference. Okay, then he got the offers from the company A and B. So out of A and B, that is, so here A is X and B is Y, right? So as per the order of preference set, A, he is going to give the highest priority, so the result is A. Okay, so let's talk about the second scenario. In the second scenario, the order is bit changed. So the same companies he have taken, but in the order of B, C, and A. That means B is going to get the highest priority, C the second priority, and A is given the least priority, right? And he got offers from A and C, right? As X means X is A and Y is C, right? So coming to the preferences of Rahul, Rahul is giving highest preference to B, but he didn't get offer from B, unfortunately. Coming to the next company he is preferring is C, and he got it. So he's going to take the offer which is given by the variable Y, which is C. So this is the task, guys, which you have to do. Let's start coding for the same using Python. Guys, in the coding round, it will be the programming language of your preference, right? So most of the companies will give you the choice of programming language, say whether it is C, C++, Java, Python, or any other language, right? So I have chosen Python, which is my comfort zone, to give a solution for the given question. So let's navigate to Python. Yes, guys, we are in environment of Python, and I'm using the latest version 3.10 for execution of the given task, right? Let me start the coding. I've taken a new file, right? So guys, I'm going to give you two solutions for the same. As we all know, at a placement point of view, the code which is optimal in nature will win the bet, right? So be cautious while while solving the problems, right? While writing the code, see that you use less number of nested loops, right? And the inbuilt functions which are a bit costly, try to reduce that. Okay, so let's start coding for this one. Okay, I'm going to give a title for this one for future reference. Job preference, right? So let me write, as they have said that T number of test cases will be given. So for that, I'm going to read the input, that is the number of test cases with which I'm going to work, right? So this is the loop in which I'm going to write the logic of my problem solution, right? So let me work with the lists, right? So the three companies which are in the order preference of Rahul, I'm going to place them in a list. I'm going to read the data in the form of a list, right? And in the map function, there will be two parameters, as you all know. One is the data type and the next is the input statement, right? So here, as the company names are strings, so I'm going to take the data type as string. And with the help of split function, I'm going to separate them, right? So three companies I'm going to read and I'm going to place it in the list L. Then followed by, I have to read X and Y. What are these X and Y's? These are the offer letters which he is going to get. One will be stored in X and the other will be stored in Y. Great. Using map function, I'm going to do the same, right? Right. So great. So now the input, whatever the input I need are in my hands. Now I have to think of the logic with what I can identify which company he wants to choose, whether it is X or Y. Using the index function, which retrieves the value present in that index, is going to help me out in this task. So let me use the index functions, and its order of complexity is order of 1. As directly based upon the index value, you're going to hop there and retrieve the value. So its complexity is bigger of 1. So it is less costlier one. I'm going to use that. Okay. If L dot index of, as it is a function, I'm going to use normal parenthesis, is greater than L dot index of Y. Right? So using indexes, I'm going to run the show, print Y, the character, else print X. Great. Simply, I'm taking the index values. So as the first X value, I'm going to compare with where it is in L, right? If its index value is higher, that means it is having a lower preference. That means if the company names of Rahul preference are A, B, and C, being A at the top, it will be first inserted into the list, right? So it will be having an index value of 0, right? So B will get an index value 1, whereas C will get an index value 2, which is of least preference. So even though C is at the last, it will have the highest index value, right? As I have placed it in the last. So I'm using the function for the same. So if the index value of, say, X is greater than the index value of Y, means Y is lying before X in the list of preference. So that means the company Y is having, whatever the company which is placed in Y is having higher preference when compared to X. So I'm going to print Y, right? Or else X. It is a comparison between only two. So X or Y. If else statement will suffice the requirement, right? Let's save this one. So let me take 2 test cases. Let me enter the company names A, B, and C. These are the this is the in the first case the preference list of our Rahul, and the companies of the offer which he got from the companies are, say, C and A. Guys, what do you expect? C is having the least preference. It is placed in X. A is having the highest preference and it is placed in Y. So the answer will be Y, right? Let's jumble it. Okay, shuffle the things. So B, C, A, and let the order in which he gets the offers in the variables X and Y be. Say, let me take C and A again. So B is the company which Rahul wants, the highest preference. But unfortunately, he didn't get the offer from it. But he got offer from C and A. In the order, if you see, the index value of C is 1, whereas index value of A is 2. So index value of C is lower. That means it is lying somewhere before A, which is having higher preference. So the result should be C. And there goes. Right? So guys, this is one way of addressing the solution of the given problem. This can be done in the other way around also, using dictionaries. So I'd like to give you another solution for the same problem. Let's go with it. So rather than erasing the whole thing, I would like to place the first solution in a comment line, right? So let's start the second solution of the given problem. Okay. So Here I'm taking 3 variables, first, second and third. 3 variables in which I'm going to place the order of preference of Rahul, right? So map str input split. Split function we use to separate the characters based upon the space which is placed between them. Okay, right. Then with this split function, I'm using the map, the data type string and the input and split function. I'm going to read 3 characters and which will be placed in F, S and T respectively. Now, I have to read the offers which he is going to get on the name of X and Y variables, right? So here I go, map str, right. So I have read X and Y characters also. Then let's start defining a dictionary for the same. Let's work with it. So dictionary. So the first character F will get the highest priority. So for key F, I'm assigning the value 3. Okay. Then goes S will get a value 2. Then T will get a value 3. Right. So this is the basic definition of my dictionary. Right. So dictionary of F will retrieve 3. Dictionary of S will retrieve 2. Whereas dictionary of third one, sorry, it should be 1. That is least preferred, third, right? So dictionary of T will retrieve a 1, the corresponding value, right? So let's start the comparison process, right? So V1 is equal to, I'm taking 2 temporary variables, right? V1 and V2. V1 is equal to dictionary to retrieve the values of the keys which are placed in the dictionary, right? So dictionary of X, just a comparison process, guys, right? So 2 is equal to dictionary of Y, right? So the values of X and Y mappings are placed in V1 and V2 respectively. Now let's compare between these two. If V1 is greater than V2, then print X, else print Y. A simple solution. Alright. So based upon the order of preference, I have designed a dictionary which is going to hold the characters F, S and T, right? So correspondingly, I'm going to map them, right? So let me run this one. So the same test cases, shall I take A, B and C, and C and A are the order in which he got the offer letters. Okay, let me go with the second test case, B, C, A, and he got offers from C and A respectively, and there goes the result. So if you look at the logic, guys, both are having the same complexity. Defining a dictionary is having a complexity of big O of 1. So based upon the key value, retrieving its corresponding value and assigning it to a variable, even the complexity of that is order of 1, big O of 1. So coming to the complexity point of view, both the codes are having the same complexity. There is nothing based on you cannot differentiate based upon the complexity. Both are one and the same. And guys, it is up to your preference. If you are comfortable with working with indexes, go with it. Or if you are comfortable with working with the dictionaries, which is very, 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 very important if a person is expecting a future in the development side, that too preferably Python, he must have dictionaries on his fingertips, right? So these are the few basic problems which will help you to work on the same, right? So with this, I'll wind up the first question. Let's go for the second one. So using simple lists, I'm going to explain you the codes, guys, right? So let's go for the second question. Yes, guys, we are back. Second question is rotating an array. Rotating an array in a clockwise direction. Very simple question and straightforward question where the question goes like this. So you are given an unsorted array of size n or a list of size n. You have to rotate the given d elements in clockwise direction. You have to pick them and append them, right? So only d elements. So the code goes on. The input what they are expecting is t number of test cases, right? In every test case, the first line will contain the n, that is the size of the list, and the d, that is the how many number of clockwise rotations you need, right? Followed by the second line of input, reading of input. I'm saying you need to read a list, an unsorted list of size n. And the final output, what we are expecting is a new line or a new list which is rotated in clockwise direction for d number of times. And the complexity also they have narrated based upon placing the constraints. So they have said that basically you can have max 200 test cases, and the value of n, that is the number of elements in your list, you can have max 10 per 7 only, and number of rotation, there's obviously it should be between 1 to n, right? Then the elements within the last constraint is on the elements which you insert into the array are from 1 to 10 per 5, right? So why they give these constraints? Many students ask me while training, ma'am, why they give these constraints? A good question answer for this one is, guys, whenever someone poses a question like this, the placements, or you go for any hackathons or any competitions based upon coding, they in person they cannot evaluate your codes. So they feed the system or train the system in such a way that on the face they are going to give you examples, say 1 or 2 examples for your reference, right? So hidden test cases they'll be running up to 10 to 20. At times I have seen few questions in HackerRank where he has taken 99 test cases to evaluate a system, and these cases he is not going to reveal us. So and these test cases, hidden test cases, are going to test the boundaries, right? So what will happen if you give the values beyond the boundaries? Is your program responding to that or not, right? For that purpose, they use constraints. And for the students who are working on, say, C, C++, Java, they have to mention the data type of the program, of the variables prior using them, right? So before using them, we have to declare the data type. So based upon the constraints, you have to declare the data type. If as this test case itself says, for t the data type int is enough, but for n and the elements which you inside n, int data type is not sufficient. You have to go for long and long, right? For that purpose, they give this one. As I said, the data types which you initialize or declare prior must match with the test cases, hidden test cases which they are going to use, right? So let's take an example for the same, guys. Very simple. I have taken only one test case, okay, and 5 and 2. I mean to say 5 is n, which is the number of elements that are supposed to be in my list, and T2 is D, which is the number of clockwise rotations which I want to move, right? So in the first rotation, the elements are like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the first rotation, I have to bring 1 to the last. The next list after first rotation, you will get 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 as the list. second rotation. He has asked it for 2 rotations, guys. So I have to move 2 to the last. Then the change you're going to get is something like this. Can you map these two? So this is the final result you need to get. I hope the question is quite clear, guys. The first and foremost thing that I would advise students is, first of all, read the question, understand the question, make a note of the points which you understand. First one is what input he is asking for and what is the type of input he is asking for. And the second point is what output he is expecting, right? Whether it is a set of lines, what he is expecting, a single line, a single character, what he is expecting. Later, once you identify the primary requirements of the problem, then try to think on the logic, how you want to do that, right? So let me go to Python and explain you a simple solution for this one. Let's go to the Python. Yes, we are back, guys. And this is the Python environment where I'm going to execute the code for my question. That is rotate array. N-sized array I'm going to take, and I'm going to rotate in a clockwise direction d number of elements, right? So, and I'm using the Python version 3.0 for the same. Let's start doing this. So let me name it. I have a bad habit or a good habit, you can say it in either way, that whatever the problem I'm addressing in a short form, I write the name of it for my future reference. Rotate array. Okay, so my caps was on. Anyways, not a problem. Yeah, now I got it, right? So let's start working on it. First of all, let me start with driver code. So as I said, identify the inputs first of all. What inputs you want, right? So array is the list of elements he is asking for, and the data type of this list is integer, right? So I am reading the same, an array I have read, right? Then I have to rotate it, right? I have to rotate the things. For that, I don't want to go for a brute force method. I want to define a function for it, an explicit function which can be used, right, any number of times. So simply I'm giving the name as rotate, which goes hand in hand with the name of my program. Rotate, what you are going to rotate, guys, the list, that is the array which you have read, and the parameters which I'm going to pass is next the number of times you want to rotate, that I'm going to read over that, and the length of the list. These are the things I'm going to pass as parameter. Guys, that is the beauty of Python, as you need not mention the data type of any variable prior. That is one advantage. And within the function call also, you can read the data and pass it. Why you say? That is very easy. Working with, that is why it is very easy to work with the Python. Okay, so before using it or calling the function, I have to define it. Let me define rotate function. So def rotate. So and to this rotate function, the parameters I'm going to pass are, yes, these are the variables which he have used, d and n, right? So I use it the same. So for I in range of d, the number of times, right? The number of times I have to rotate, that is d, from 0 to d minus 1. I hope you know the range function, guys. So it takes the values from 0 to d minus 1 over here. D acts as a stopping criteria. Okay. So I'd like to rotate. I want to rotate these things one by one, right? So say if d is 2, first move and the second move, I'm going to split them into steps. For that, I would like to go for another function. That means driver code is going to call rotate, and rotate is going to call another function which is going to rotate the things, the elements d number of times. Okay, so rotate, what shall I give? Rotate by 1, right? That will be very simple, right? So once for every one rotation, I'm going to call this function. For d rotations, d times I'm going to call this function. Okay, so let's define this function. So def of rotate by 1, and the elements which I'm going to pass are the array which I want to rotate and n, that is the length of the list, right? So temporary, the first element I'm going to place it in a temporary variable so that I can place it or append it in the last, right? So for I in range of n minus 1, right? For n minus 1, I'm pushing the elements, I'm making the elements to hop from right to left. One step they are going to take. Once all the elements, all the n minus 1 elements take the hop, I'm going to place the first element in the last position, right? So it's a very simple trick, guys. Okay, then guys, the only thing is, yes, you can append, you can use many functions, pop, append, many functions, but I'm not using any inbuilt functions because inbuilt functions are a bit costly, right? Appending is order of 1 because by default you are going to place it in the last position. Whatever you are going to insert at the last position by default. That is the beauty of append function. Coming to the insert function, as one of the parameters for insert function is the position where you have to place the element. Position plays the key role. So it is having an order of n. The position can be 1 or the nth place or the last place. It may vary. So insert is having a higher complexity when compared to append, right? Fine. Let me do this one. So, okay guys, I have done with the rotation process. Okay, I want to print the final result now, right? So using a function, let me use a function for the same. So print array. And the size I'm going to give as parameter for that array and its corresponding size, right? So for I in range of size, right, for all the elements ranging, so I'm going to print okay. So printing the integer value using format specifiers I'm doing, and I'm using a space in between the elements so that every value comes one after the other. If I'm not going to use this one, the results will be placed or the elements will be shown as a final result in new line, vertically I can say. Now I want the list to be shown horizontally. So I have taken this split statement. Okay guys, right. So finally come to the driver code guys. I have called the rotate function to rotate the array for of size n, d number of times. Okay, now and as the final call goes for printing the array comma length of array. I am not even using any intermediate variables also to calculate the same, right guys? So let me store it with the name which is familiar to me, that is rotate, right? I've used it the same. So very simple, guys. So I started, as I said, always start with your driver code to identify what is the input you want, what is the output, and so on. Right? So yes, I have identified that I can split my program into 3 different functions. So I've done the same. Let me run this code. So as you can see, the elements I have unsorted list I have to enter now. So say 5, 4, 6, 2. Okay, now it is going to ask me how many times you want to rotate. That is the value of D, right? So that I'm going to give, say, 3. So guys, have a look at the solution. So 3 times I want to rotate my list, right? In the clockwise. First, the first value 5 will be appended to the last. Next, followed by 4. Next, followed by 6. So if you pick the first element and push it or append it to the list, then if you do it for 3 times, the index value 3, the element which is placed at the index value 3 is going to come as the first element, right? So picking the element from the front and placing at the rear, right? So this is why this is how you are going to rotate, and this is how you are going to get the result, guys. I hope you understood the program, right? So this is a simple rotation problem, right? So identify the basic and key points in the solution, guys. You can write it in either way. So rather than going for a function call, okay, I'm going to show a few changes in this one, guys. Not taking much time of yours. Okay, rather than writing a function and using it, I can simply go for print of ARR, simply printing the same, right? Save, and I'm going to run, and I'm going to give the same input 5, 4, 6, 3, 7, and 2, and the number of rotations is 3. And here this is. Have a look at this one. So the final result is in the form of a list. Guys, as I said, in your hackathons or placement point of view, any coding places, the output, what they expect, and in what the way you project it out must be the same. If you recollect the question, they have said that once you rotate it, the list must be displayed, not in the form of a list with square brackets and a comma and a separator for it, nothing like that, right? So I have taken the help of the function or the format specifier. So you can say this is the format specifier %D, and using that I have retrieved only the integer content of that array and I have presented it. And if I do not use end, what will happen? That is one more primary question people might get, right? What will happen, ma'am, if you do not write this statement, right? So rather than using, right, the direct print statement, I'm calling the function. Let me show you the result once again. Okay, 5, 4, 6, 3, 7, and 2. I am using the same input, guys, so that you do not get confused. Have a look at the result, what you got. I was telling you, he expected a result which is a list, horizontal list, separated by spaces, not a vertical list. Even though, guys, even though your logic is same, is apt, correct, at times the system, the backend system is not going to accept it because it is going to blindly compare your result with the result which they have fed it to the system, right? So to overcome that, please be cautious in the output, in the format of the output, what they are expecting. So guys, with this I have shown you 3 different types of presenting the result, right? So it is important to the presentation. As I said, the presentation is very important, and breaking the whole the solution into modules and presenting them explicitly is one of the beauty of programming. Guys, with these two questions, I wind up today's session on company specific programming. Do follow the channel, and I'll be posting many more questions, and I'll be addressing the solutions for the same soon. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.